The New York Showdown, Zohran Mamdani versus Donald Trump. Who really runs the future? Intro. Welcome back everyone to the Pulse of Politics, your one-stop show for what's shaking up America today. And trust me, things in New York are shaking. Because right now, the city that never sleeps just got a new headline: Zohran Mamdani versus Donald Trump. Yes, you heard that right, the fresh, progressive mayor who just took New York by storm and the former president who just can't stop talking about him. It's young versus old, new versus establishment, and quite frankly, hope versus fear. Today we're breaking down why this fight matters, what's really going on behind the scenes, and how this could redefine U.S. politics. So buckle up. Because this isn't just politics, this is a showdown for the soul of America. Who are they? Let's start with the players in this drama. Zohran Mamdani, 34 years old, born in Uganda, raised in Queens, New York. A child of immigrants. A community organizer turned assemblyman, now mayor of New York City. He calls himself a democratic socialist, but not in the Cold War sense Trump likes to scream about. He's about rent freezes, free public buses, wealth tax, workers' rights. He's the guy who says, if Wall Street can afford yachts, New Yorkers should afford homes. And people listened. They voted in record numbers. They wanted change. Now on the other side, Donald Trump, the name everyone knows. The businessman turned reality TV icon turned president turned full-time online commentator. He's been president, indicted, impeached, acquitted, and still somehow always in the headlines. And now he's found his newest target, Zohran Mamdani. Trump's made it personal, calling Mamdani a communist lunatic, mocking his looks, his voice, even calling him not smart. Yeah, that's where we're at playground politics, Trump style. How it started, the beef began when Mamdani surged ahead in the New York mayoral race earlier this year. His campaign hit the nerves of real people, skyrocketing rents, broken transit, corporate greed. He promised to make the city livable again for working people. Trump, watching from Mar-a-Lago, couldn't resist. He jumped on Truth Social, warning that if Mamdani won, he'd consider cutting federal funding to New York. He said, and I quote, "If you let a communist run New York, you're wasting the money we send there." Pretty wild, right? That statement alone triggered national outrage. Critics called it political blackmail. Supporters of Mamdani called it fear of progress. Then things escalated. Trump posted again, this time attacking Jewish voters. He wrote, "Any Jewish person who votes for Mamdani is stupid." And the backlash was instant. Every major outlet covered it. Even some Republicans cringed. Zohran back, Mamdani didn't stay quiet. He came out swinging. In his victory speech, the night he officially became New York's new mayor, he looked straight at the camera and said, "Donald Trump, turn the volume up." Boom, mic drop moment. Crowd went wild. He wasn't just talking back. He was claiming his place. He said, "Trump is threatened by us because for once power is shifting back to the people." And that's what makes this showdown so fascinating. It's not just personal drama, it's a fight between two visions of America. One that wants to preserve the system for the wealthy, and one that's trying to rewrite the system for everyone else. Trump's TACTICS and his history. Now, before we go further, let's talk about Trump's playbook, because this isn't new. Whenever Trump feels challenged, he attacks. Remember 2016? He labeled Hillary a crook. 2020, Biden was sleepy. 2025, Zohran Mamdani is the communist lunatic. Same formula. Insult, discredit, dominate headlines. But this time, it's not working as smoothly. See, Trump's base thrives on outrage, but Mamdani's base thrives on solidarity. And that's a tougher opponent than Trump's used to. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the funding threat. When Trump said he'd cut funds to New York, he basically hinted at punishing millions of ordinary Americans just to score political points. That's not leadership. That's leverage politics. Analysts are calling it federal overreach, using national funds as personal weapons. And it's backfiring. Even mayors from red states quietly criticized it, saying, if he can threaten New York today, he can threaten us tomorrow. Trump, of course, doubled down. Because when he's cornered, he doesn't apologize, he attacks harder. Mamda a nice vision. And why it hits home. Now, let's flip the script and talk about Zohran Mamdani's rise and why it's shaking the system. This guy started at the grassroots. He knocked on doors, rode buses with commuters, talked to tenants living paycheck to paycheck. His campaign slogan, New York for all of us, and people felt it. He wasn't a billionaire. He wasn't from a dynasty. He wasn't promising trickle-down anything. He promised fairness. His policies, free public transit so workers don't have to choose between groceries and getting to work. rent freeze to stop landlords from crushing tenants, tax reform to make the ultra-rich finally pay their share. And yes, Trump calls that socialism, but you know what Mamdani calls it? Common sense. In interviews, he said, if providing healthcare, homes, and buses for people is socialism, then so be it, call it humanity. That's a line that resonates with Gen Z, millennials, working parents, the new voting power base. And for Trump, that's terrifying, because it means the political script is flipping. Why Trump feels threatened, so why does Trump care so much about one city mayor? Simple, it's symbolic. New York City is Trump's old turf. It's where his name is plastered on skyscrapers, hotels, towers. It's where he built his brand. And now, a young, progressive Muslim immigrant kid is the face of that same city. To Trump, that's not just political, that's personal. It's like watching someone repaint your empire in new colors. He can't stand it. So he lashes out on social media, in interviews, on rallies, making Mamdani the poster child of his anti-socialist crusade. But here's the thing, every insult he throws is only giving Mamdani more attention, more sympathy, and more momentum. In fact, since Trump's attacks began, Mamdani's approval rating rose by 12% in statewide polls. Irony, right? The louder Trump yells, the stronger Mamdani gets. Imaginary scene, if THEY met face-to-face, all right, humor me for a second, let's imagine this. Picture a debate stage in Times Square, crowd packed, cameras flashing. On one side, Mamdani calm, confident, sleeves rolled up. On the other, Trump red tie, scowling, ready to interrupt. Moderator says, "Gentlemen, what's your vision for America's future?" Trump leans in first. "We don't want communism in America, we want freedom." Mamdani smiles and says, "Mr. Trump, I grew up in Queens. My freedom means affording rent and riding the bus. Yours means tax cuts for billionaires." Crowd erupts. Trump tries again. "He's gonna turn New York into Venezuela." Mamdani, "Actually, sir, I'm turning it into a place where everyone can eat dinner without choosing between bills and medicine." Boom. Mic drop number 2. The moderator's trying not to laugh. Twitter explodes. Headlines read, "Mamdani schools Trump in Times Square showdown." Okay, yes, it's imaginary, but honestly, doesn't feel that far-fetched, does it? Bigger picture, what this means for America, let's zoom out. This isn't just about New York City or about two men shouting at each other. It's about where America is heading. On one hand, you've got Trump's America, nostalgic, angry, fearful, longing for a time that doesn't exist anymore. On the other, you've got Mamdani's America, young, diverse, hopeful, fighting to build something new. And that contrast, that energy, is what's fueling this cultural earthquake. Progressives see Mamdani's win as proof that ideas once dismissed as too radical, like rent control or free public transit, can actually win elections. Meanwhile, Trump sees it as a red alert. To him, it's the start of a socialist takeover. To many Americans, it's just the start of fairness. What's next? So what happens next in this saga? Trump has hinted that if he returns to the White House, he'd look into Mamdani's policies, which many see as code for targeting him politically. Mamdani, meanwhile, is pushing ahead, promising to make his city a model of equality. He's already forming committees to expand affordable housing and make public transit free for all under 25s. His approval ratings are climbing, his social media following is skyrocketing, and his speeches are going viral not for drama but for hope. He's showing a new kind of leadership, one rooted in empathy instead of ego. And honestly, that's refreshing. Closing thoughts, when history looks back, it might see this not just as a feud, but as a turning point. Trump built his empire on fear and fame. Mamdani is building his on fairness and faith in people. And that's the crossroads America stands at right now. Will the future belong to the loudest voice in the room, or the one that listens? For now, all eyes are on New York. Because when New York sneezes, the rest of America catches a cold. Soft chuckle, and if you ask me, this time the wind feels like change. Outro, thanks for tuning in to the Pulse of Politics. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Zohran Mamdani versus Donald Trump saga, hit that follow button, share it with a friend, and let's keep the conversation rolling. Because this isn't the end of the story, it's just the first round. See you next time, same mic, new fight.